What if the second you reach for your glove box, the cop thinks you're grabbing a gun? That one move can turn a basic ticket into a high alert stop in seconds. And once that happens, you can lose control of everything that comes next. Hit subscribe right now because what I am about to show you could save you from a dangerous mistake during your next traffic stop. Like this video too, because you do not want to forget these lines when your heart is racing and lights are flashing behind you. Here is what you need to know before you ever touch that glove box. In a traffic stop, the officer does not know you. The officer does not know if you're scared, hiding something, or reaching for a weapon. All the officer sees is movement, fast movement, sudden movement, hidden movement. And that is why this matters so much for you. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn the exact sentence you say before moving your hand even 1 inch. You're going to learn how to stop a casual traffic stop from turning into a consent search. You are going to learn the one question that tells you whether you are still being held or if you can leave. And you are going to hear the court cases that back all of this up in plain English. I have analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the same mistake shows up over and over again. Most people have no idea how fast a normal stop can go bad when they move before they speak. Here is the reality. You think you're being helpful when you grab your registration right away. You think you're saving time. You think the officer will appreciate it. But from the officer side, your quick reach can look like a threat. It can also look like you're hiding drugs, grabbing a knife, or shoving something under the seat. It might look like you're trying to open a compartment before the officer gets to your window. That is why your first move matters more than your paperwork. Now let us talk about what most drivers do wrong. The lights come on, you panic, you dig in your pockets, you lean over, you pop the glove box open before the officer even says a word. Then the officer walks up, already tense. Maybe the hand goes near the holster. Maybe the officer tells you to stop moving. Maybe you get ordered out of the car before you even know what happened. Listen closely because this is critical. Your goal is not to look busy. Your goal is to look safe, calm, and predictable. The first thing you do is keep your hands where the officer can see them and ask before you reach anywhere. This sounds simple, but it changes the whole stop. Your hands should stay on the wheel if you can. If it is dark, turn on your inside light. If your wallet is in your back pocket or your papers are in the glove box, do not rush for them. Wait, here's exactly what you say. Officer, my registration is in the glove box. How would you like me to get it? Word for word. Memorize that line. Let me show you exactly why that works. When you say that sentence, you do 3 smart things at once. First, you tell the officer where you need to reach. Second, you ask for permission before moving. Third, you show that you are not trying to surprise anybody. That lowers tension fast. Former police officers have confirmed this works. Clear words beat sudden movement every time. Bad way. Most drivers say, hold on, it is right here, then they lunge for the glove box. Then the officer sees a fast hidden reach, and the stop gets tense instantly. Good way. Smart drivers say, officer, my registration is in the glove box. How would you like me to get it? Then the officer knows what is happening and you stay in control of the moment. Watch what happens when you use that line. The officer usually gives a simple instruction. Maybe the officer says, go ahead slowly. Maybe the officer asks you to keep one hand on the wheel. Maybe the officer tells you to wait. Any of those outcomes is better for you than guessing. You stop the officer from having to imagine the worst, and that is the whole game during the first 30 seconds. Here is the reality. Cops are trained to notice what they call furtive movements. That just means quick, sneaky-looking movements. If you bend down, twist hard, or reach under the seat, that can become part of the reason they worry. And once officer safety gets said out loud, you can get pulled out of the car fast. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. In Michigan v. Long, the court said officers can look in the passenger area for weapons if they have specific facts. They can search if they think a person is dangerous and might grab a weapon. In plain English, if your movement looks like a weapon reach, you have handed them a safety reason to escalate. That does not mean every glove box reach makes a search legal. It does mean your movement can help create the story they tell later. Now think about the bad outcome if you ignore this. You reach first, the officer shouts. You freeze halfway into the glove box. Now your body cam moment looks terrible. Even if you meant nothing wrong, your movement becomes the focus. Your ticket is no longer the main issue. Your movement is. But when you ask first, the whole video looks different. You look calm, you look respectful, you look safe. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection in those opening seconds. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it shows you were trying to follow directions. This is 100% legal. You're not refusing to cooperate. You're doing the smart version of cooperating. You're telling the officer what you need to do before you do it. That is how you protect yourself without sounding hostile. Have you ever been asked for papers while your hands were already moving? Drop a comment below and tell me if you think you would have stayed calm enough to use that line. The next thing you do is shut down consent before the stop turns into a fishing trip. This is where a lot of drivers give away their rights with one nervous word. The officer gives back the license. The warning is done. Then comes the friendly voice. You do not mind if I take a quick look, right? That is the trap. It sounds casual. It sounds harmless. It sounds like saying no will make you look guilty. Here's the trick they do not want you knowing. The word yes does almost all the work for them. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Word for word. Short, calm, clear. Let me show you exactly why this line matters so much. If you consent, you make the search easy. You help the officer skip a huge legal problem. The officer may not need a warrant. The officer may not need strong evidence. Your own mouth opens the door. But when you clearly say no, you force them to rely on legal reasons. That matters later, especially if a lawyer reviews the stop. Bad way. Most drivers say, I guess that is fine. Then the officer searches your car. Anything found becomes much harder to challenge. Good way. Smart drivers say, Officer, I do not consent. Then the officer has to decide whether there is an actual legal reason to search without your permission. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, too. In Schneckloth versus Bustamante, the court spoke on consent. The court said, police can use your consent if it was given voluntarily. This applies even if you did not know you could refuse. Read that again in plain English. If you say yes because you feel pressure, that yes can still count. That is why your clear no is so powerful. Defense attorneys use this line to create a clean record. Watch what happens when you say it the right way. You do not argue. You do not lecture. You do not start shouting about amendments. You just say the line and stop talking. That forces the next move back onto the officer. If the officer has a real legal reason, they will act on it. If not, your refusal matters. It shows you never invited the search. A lot of drivers mess this up by trying to sound nice. They say, I do not have anything to hide. So sure, that sounds harmless, but it can blow up your case. You might not even know what is in your car. Maybe a friend left something behind. Maybe there is an old item you forgot about. Maybe the officer finds something you never expected. Once you said yes, your best shield is gone. This is 100% legal. You are allowed to refuse consent. You're not required to help build a case against yourself. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection once the stop drifts into investigation. And yes, some officers may act annoyed. Let them. Annoyed is better than searched. I have analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and you can hear the moment drivers lose. It is when they try too hard to seem cooperative and say yes to things they did not have to. Your job is to stay polite and firm. That is it. The third move is how you stop the endless delay. If the ticket is done, you need one question, not 5 questions. Not a speech, one question. Am I being detained or am I free to leave? Those exact words. Keep your voice normal. Keep your body still. That line works because it forces the moment to become clear legally. Either you are still being held or you're not. If you're free, the stop should end. In Rodriguez versus United States, the court said a traffic stop cannot be stretched longer than needed. Once the traffic job is done, they do not get extra time just because they feel curious. A lot of people ask this the wrong way by being sarcastic. That turns power into an attitude problem. If the officer says, you are free to go, go, do not stay there talking. If the officer tells you to step out, do not argue on the roadside. Win that fight in court later. Say, I will step out. I do not consent to any searches. This shows compliance and refusal at once. In Pennsylvania versus Mims, the court said an officer can order a driver out during a lawful stop. Your hands visible, your words clear, your consent denied, and your tone calm is the whole framework. Next week, I'm revealing what to say when cops claim they smell weed. Subscribe right now. Smash that like button if this just changed how you will handle your next stop. Stay safe out there.